You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Episode 161, The Paradox.
Welcome to The Paradox with your attending, Dr. Eric Larson. He is a practicing anesthesiologist and clinical assistant professor at Michigan State University College of Human Medicine. Listen in as he takes you behind the scenes of what practicing medicine in today's ever-changing world is like with another doctor. The Paradox is a fun and accidentally informative show for physicians, patients, or anyone who has ever found themselves in a waiting room.
Welcome to The Paradox. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Larson. Thank you for joining me as we explore the U.S. medical system in a fun and informative format through expert analysis. And today I have on a truck driver from Canada, Warren Speyers. We've spent a lot of time talking about COVID and the restrictions, mandates, etc. in the United States. And I think it would be interesting getting a perspective from Canada, our friendly neighbors to the north. I live right next to the border of Canada in Michigan. We've seen a lot of disruptions from this Freedom Convoy that has been occurring for the last 3 weeks now, as they've closed off two of the bridges that go in and out of Michigan into Canada, the one in Port Huron, which is the Blue Water Bridge, and then also the Ambassador Bridge. The third way of getting into Ontario from Michigan is the Detroit Bridge that goes under the river. That, of course, can't have commercial traffic, so that has been open, but not for commercial traffic. One could use the Sault Ste. Marie, which is in the Upper Peninsula, but that's a long ways for getting towards any of the industrial plants and things like that in southern Ontario. One thing I've really gathered over the last probably 2 years with the whole COVID fiasco is there's definitely been a realignment in the politics, I think, of those who are the working class and those in the various parties in our country, namely with Democrats and Republicans. I guess it was obvious probably with Trump's election that the working class had pretty much abandoned the Democratic Party, or perhaps you could say the opposite, that those who are the elites, those who are the ones who run corporations, run the government, run universities, academia, and those who are educated in academia, the ones who are from the universities, the professional class, they have largely abandoned the values that once used to represent, I suppose, the Democratic Party. This happens all the time in the United States, where you see various philosophies or political parties shift as far as what they support and are against. And I think you've absolutely seen this change in the United States. Namely, populism has clearly been a Republican thing, or conservative value, at least within those parties. You saw that with the Tea Party. I think the last time you saw the left organized like that was Occupy Wall Street, which actually had a lot of sympathies from those in the right. And I think what we're seeing is not just something expressed in this country, but you're seeing globally, in Europe and in Canada. Aside from Warren's outstanding Canadian accent, where he is spot on and is a quintessential Canadian, I mean, in general, I like speaking to people with accents, either from Great Britain, Australia, South Africa, in this case, Canada. It's just fantastic. Also, I think it's really amazing that there's a protest in Canada and a hockey game breaks out. It is quintessentially Canadian. I just love that about the country. I love Canadians in general. We obviously share a border. I spend plenty of time in Canada. I know lots of Canadians, of course, here in Michigan who have come across and immigrated and decided to live in the Canadian tropics here in Michigan. And in a little known fact, Michigan is the only state that is both north and south of the same country. Certainly what's most concerning to me, and Warren and I spoke on it just very briefly because it had just been announced at the time of our recording on February 14th, a Monday, where the Emergency Powers Act was initiated by the Canadian government under Trudeau, which gives almost dictatorial powers to the federal government in Canada. This gives them the power to freeze and seize bank accounts without any judicial review, to deem anyone they declare as a terrorist or an enemy of the state. It's quite extraordinary and quite a broad reach of power, something that I think would be more difficult to enact here in this country. Not impossible, but certainly much more complicated. However, we've seen emergency powers be granted to our executive branches in all 50 states during this pandemic, and some of them still extend today, over 2 years into the pandemic. And so I think for someone who's interested in representative democracy or government, it's definitely very concerning, the amount of power that can be consolidated in the executive branch whether that's the governor, the president, or in this case, the prime minister. A few other things for those who are not familiar with Canada. PI is Prince Edward Island. BC is British Columbia. RCMP is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which are basically like federalized police officers. These are things in terms that Warren uses that I think he doesn't even think about it, that it's would be foreign to most people in this country. But I'm sure you'll have as much fun listening to this conversation as I had having it, where we just get into all things Canadian and talk about the Freedom Convoy and what it really is and what's going on and what they're all about. As always, you can find the show notes page at theparadox.com/161. Please subscribe to the show and share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. That's why the show has been growing so quickly. I've seen almost a 20% growth in the last few months. I like to think it's because of the content, but it's probably the content, but more you, the listener, who are sharing it with your friends and making sure you listen to it and spread the good ideas and sending great show ideas too. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you have people you'd like me to speak to. You can reach me at theparadoxshow@protonmail.com. You can also just link to it through the website at theparadox.com, and it's PRADOCS. But without further ado, Warren Speyers in I was at a Canadian protest and a hockey game broke out. Enjoy. Well, hi, I'm here with my new friend, Warren Speyers. Warren is a trucker from Canada, and I want to have him on to get a better understanding for what's going on in Canada because, you know, as Warren knows, he has a couple siblings here in the States that our perception of what's going on in Canada is really skewed, and it's really hard to have an idea of what's going on in Canada. And so, Warren, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Just kind of give us a brief little bio of who you are and how long you've been a trucker. I know we talked a little bit off air, but if you could just go ahead and give a brief history of sort of your working life as you're now located just outside of Ottawa.
Correct. Yes. Okay. I almost all my 20s, I drove cross-country trucking Canada, States, been pretty much corner to corner. You name it, I've been there in a truck. Ended up marrying. I worked for a company out of Pembroke, Ontario, and the owner of that, I ended up marrying his niece. So we kind of have a trucking company in the family. I'm not driving for them right now, but yeah, I did 10 years with him. They were great. Got into the elevator trade for about 10 years. A very good paying trade. It was also a good job. You got your steady hours, but yeah, just with pushing too many mandates on you, telling me to wear masks and taking tests and all that. I just couldn't take it anymore. So yes, here I am back trucking, not for the uncle-in-law, just a local guy now.
Great. So give us an idea of, I became aware, I guess, of what's going on in Canada, that this Freedom Convoy, I guess is what it's called. Can you give us an idea sort of how big it is and how long it's been going on? I mean, we're talking as we speak right on Valentine's Day on February 14th.
Yes, I think this was its third Saturday. I borrowed a truck from work so 3 Saturdays ago. I'd have to look at a calendar, but I left Ottawa, and the convoy, the Western convoy coming from Western Canada, was all staged in Arnprior, Ontario. There's a big truck stop there, and I got in that first thing in the morning with the company truck. I brought the father-in-law, a friend, and his 10-year-old son with me in the truck, and it was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've been around trucks a lot. There's just, as far as the eye can see, trucks from all over Canada. It was just, I got out of the truck first thing in the morning, and people just started handing me bags of food. I'm like, hey, I'm good. I live here. Don't worry about me. But just the outpour was unlike anything I've ever seen. People offering to fill up the diesel tanks for me, like just giving me hugs. It was something you'd have to see. But it was a great experience. Just so many people. I couldn't even tell you how many trucks. There's got to have been in the thousands. Heavy wreckers, tankers, all kinds of different trucks, and then all there was RVs, pickup trucks with flags on them, cars, farm tractors. It was really just an amazing sight to see.
Are these people coming from all over Canada, or is it just mainly Ontario? I mean, are people coming from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, at that far west?
Oh yes, the convoy I got in was all BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northern Ontario. So yeah, most of the guys were probably Alberta, BC, or that I was talking to, Manitoba for sure. And then the Southern Convoy, Ontario, came up, took a different route, and then the Eastern Convoy from the Brunswick, Nova Scotia came in a different boat as well. So these were all Western trucks for the most part. Guys, farmers, they don't even put any miles on their trucks. They just run local. They were here. You're just an amazing sight to see and partake in.
And for people who are not, I mean, I'm in Michigan, so I'm somewhat familiar with Canada because I've been to a number of times because we're right on the border. But for those listeners who aren't from Canada or familiar with it, I mean, British Columbia is obviously the West Coast. That's sort of like someone from Seattle driving, probably like to Cleveland or so, probably equivalent to that. So that's a long ways. Those guys started probably on Wednesday or Thursday, right, to get to Ottawa.
Yeah, they. I used to be able to do Vancouver in 4.5 days from Ottawa, but that's very steady driving, using it 13 hours a day. They left 1 week prior because being in a convoy, you are driving slow, and I guess they had checkpoints and people they were meeting up with or whatever, and organizing food. So it took them longer than it could have. But I believe they left 1 week prior to getting to Ottawa. It is a heck of a long drive.
Yeah. Well, explain to us, I guess, how it started. I mean, suddenly I saw in the news that there were a bunch of trucks that were pulling into Ottawa and people protesting the mandates and things on COVID. But I mean, was it an online thing? I mean, how did this sort of thing start, as far as you know?
Oh, I had nothing to do with the organizing, but I believe a few people, truck drivers and their wives, I guess they can no longer cross the border with the new mandates after they've been trucking for 2 years into the States. They just had enough. They said, we're done. This is nonsense. And however it happened, they just posted online, and it just kept building steam. And social media, I guess. And how exactly they started, I couldn't tell you, but it is quite the movement, as everyone's seen around the world now. And just people are fed up, I guess, is what you could say. They want to be part of it.
I mean, it's being copied right now all over the world. You start seeing that. Do you feel like it's getting bigger, or is it getting smaller? Because our impression, at least here in Michigan, the most reports we hear is what is the access across the international bridges, to get out of Detroit and Port Huron into Ontario. And that sounds like it's clearing up some, but what is your feeling for the move? I mean, obviously you said this is the third week. Do you think it's even getting bigger than it was before?
I think all those little offshoots blocking the borders, I don't think that was their original intent. That from my understanding, and I haven't been to those ones. I've been to downtown Ottawa for the last 2 weekends now. I was there yesterday, and it's I don't think it's getting any smaller. I don't necessarily know if more trucks are coming. Too hard to tell, but there's trucks everywhere. There's cars parked everywhere, campers, RVs, pickup trucks, people sleep in them. At the same time, I think only Wellington and maybe one or two streets they actually have blocked off. They are leaving lanes open if whatever fire trucks and ambulances need to get by. But there are trucks everywhere, and come on the weekends, it swells. I couldn't tell you the numbers of people, but it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of people that have partaken in this downtown. It's being from Ottawa, I know the downtown, and it's wild people that's roasting a pig. They're making pizzas. They're playing hockey, and it is a great atmosphere. Like, never mind what the media is telling you. There are people from all walks of life, all new immigrants coming here. It's just a great time. People giving out hugs, food to the truckers. I've seen numerous people just handing money off to the truckers, leaving Valentine cards on their truck steps there yesterday. It's a great experience.
I love it. Only in Canada could you have a protest and a hockey game breaks out. That's awesome.
For sure.
Ottawa, I guess, give me an idea. I've never been to Ottawa. I've been to Toronto. Is Ottawa like 1 million people? Is it quite a bit smaller? And so is this like just a ton, like doubling the population of Ottawa? I mean, is it really, really a lot of people?
Ottawa is, I think around 1 million people, but it's pretty spread out. But on the weekends, like back in my 20s or younger 20s, we go downtown on Canada Day, and it was a pretty big show, right? But this is easily on par, if not substantially larger. Some of these crowds are just massive. There's people every intersection is just clogged with people. I couldn't tell you the numbers of how many people have actually been downtown, but it seems like an awful lot to me. You can see lots of videos on YouTube of it.
Anytime it's something that big, you almost have to get like a drone up to get a feel for how big the thing is. Especially, I mean, trucks are big, right? If you have a lot of trucks, it takes a lot of room. Are you guys, is it pretty much located around, I'm sorry, this shows you how ignorant I'm of Canada, but like, is it Parliament? Like, around the government, is that where most of the protest is taking place, is like a large field or some sort of park around the government buildings?
It's pretty much, Wellington is the main drag that goes right in front of the Parliament building. So that street is, I believe, is completely blocked off. And this is all the financial district of Ottawa. There may be a few trucks where the condos are coming in, but it's mainly Wellington, and then Kent and Metcalfe and Elgin. I don't know. It's probably about 10 different downtown streets with trucks on them. But yeah, the center of it is Wellington, right in front of the Parliament. There's lots of pictures you can see on that. But I don't think they're too much into like where all the condos start. There might be a few trucks hanging out. I know they want them out of there, but it is what it is at this point.
You mentioned earlier about the mandates, and we're talking about COVID, obviously. What are the demands, I guess, of people? I mean, I imagine anytime you have a movement like this, at some point, more things sort of come, more people want other things besides what was originally the driver. But what is what are the demands, and what are the things that, let's say Trudeau and the government say, okay, we'll do this, X, Y, and Z. People would say, okay, and they just turn around and go back home. What is it that you guys are demanding?
It's not me so much personally, although I agree with it. From my understanding, they just want the mandates dropped provincially and federally. The vax passports, we can't even fly province to province, or I don't think we can get on even if you're going within your own province, you can't get on airlines, can't get on trains. You're unvaccinated. The passport system, eating in restaurants, it's just insanity. And I think they just want all the mandates. We just want our lives back to go back 2019. You can walk around without a mask on. You can go to this restaurant or that restaurant. You can jump on a plane. I think that's all they want. I don't think it's any more than that.
Yeah. So they said, hey, you know what? It turns out that COVID can spread whether you vaccinate or not. Vaccines protect you, but it's obviously the vaccine is for your protection. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but we're not going to impose you to wear a mask and do all these things. People would be like, all right. Then that's probably pretty much all that they'd be satisfied with that.
As far as I know, that's all they want. If you want to keep wearing a mask or whatever the case you're doing, by all means, I think they just don't want anything forced upon people.
I mean, are they making guys who are alone in trucks wear masks?
I definitely don't think that's the case. Although I have seen people driving with masks on, but no, they won't let you cross the border if you're unvaccinated now, which is, I think, the thing that's initially started all this. Now you got all these, 20,000-30,000 truck drivers who've been doing this their entire lives. During this entire pandemic, they're running across the border every week, and now all of a sudden it's too dangerous. It's not even a logical thing to do.
Yeah,
it's just
right.
Obviously coercing people into getting vaccinated is all they're trying to do at this stage for whatever reason.
Sure. And when you say border, you're just talking about the international border. You're not talking about provincial borders, right?
No, just Canada and the states.
Okay. Do you think it's being successful? You think you're winning? I mean, I see reports from Trudeau kind of now he's convened the cabinet again to some sort of emergency orders. But do you think you're making progress? I mean, how is the public sentiment in Canada? Are the people behind this? Were they opposed, or is it just kind of split?
I tend to think they're behind it. I more hang out with that crowd, I guess, being more rural and, knowing friends are mostly blue-collar people. I can't speak for people who are living in the high-end condos downtown, but it feels like to me that downtown is packed every weekend. And I think Alberta, Saskatchewan, PI, and Ontario just announced today they're going to greatly reduce restrictions in the very near future, even get rid of the vaccine passport for going to movie theaters and restaurants on March 1st, so they say. But I think it's working. Although all the politicians are just saying, "Oh no, the science has changed" or whatever that may be.
Right. Well, I mean, everyone wants to save face, right? I'm sure they're like, well, we can't admit that this is the political pressure is forcing to do. Is we'll just give some excuse for why we're changing things. We see the same things in the States here too, as mandates start dropping. When the science isn't there, and obviously public sentiment is not in favor of it. So if you think you're making, do you think this is? I guess my question is, you think you think you're gonna be doing this for a lot longer? I mean, it sounds like you've got plenty of momentum. The border closures are sort of ended, but like you said, that was kind of a couple guys doing that. But whereas the main force is everyone down into Parliament.
I think it's going to keep going unless the government does something drastic, whatever that may be. I don't know, but I talked to as many truck drivers as I could on the weekend there. They said they are being treated better than they've ever been in their lives. We're not going. I think a lot of them even said, "I'll die here if I have to." Like that, they were going all in. That people are handing them cash. People are picking them up, bringing them home for showers and feeding them and getting them a night out of the truck. They seem to be in very good spirits, from what I could tell.
Give us an idea for what the political situation is in Canada, because I mean, I like Trudeau. He's one guy. He's just the prime minister, right? But is there a political party that is in favor of loosening restrictions and one that's sort of wants to keep them imposed? I mean, what sort of battles is Trudeau facing right now, or pressures he facing either within his party or from other parties in the government?
Well, you may know we have a multi-party system. So we got the NDP,
right.
We got the Liberals, we got the Conservatives, and the Green Party may have a few seats as well. They just had a vote today to end restrictions, and I think it went 184 to 151 maybe. So they wanted to keep the restrictions. We did not win. I didn't look who all voted for what. I'm assuming almost all Conservatives would have voted to end restrictions, and I believe at least one Liberal did, but the NDP holds the balance there, and they are very far left, even though they used to stand for the working class, but I guess that's long come and gone. They voted to keep it, so here we are back to square one. So probably demoralized a lot of people, but we'll see.
Well, that's interesting, because I think we're seeing the same phenomena here in the United States, where the Democratic Party obviously is a party of liberals, and it's always been the party of the working class and laborers. And there seems to be very little, there's more disdain, there's anger towards people, the working class within the Democratic Party. And you feel like you're seeing the same thing within the Liberal Party in Canada as well? Where do you think they're getting the most of their support from, if that's the case?
The Liberals you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, so you said the NDP, they're sort of the Liberal Party, right? But it sounds like they no longer, they used to represent the working class, like you said, and now you feel like they aren't. So where do you think they're getting their support from?
That's a good question. I would assume most federal employees probably vote for Liberals and NDP. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I've never voted for either of them. I'm even reluctant to vote Conservative at this stage of the game, but I can tell you that all the ridings would be inner city or, suburbs and inner city, maybe in the northern communities where there's a lot of indigenous people potentially. I'm just guessing here. I'm not 100% sure. I can't imagine them even having 25, 30 seats Canada-wide, the NDP that is. Your guess is as good as mine. Kind of like the States, the inner cities, the federal employees, they like voting that way.
Yeah, so it's sort of like an urban-rural divide with suburban sort of kind of in between somewhere. That's probably pretty close, huh?
Yeah, like Ottawa has 6 ridings. Greater Ottawa, the one I'm in, which is primarily rural, is the only Conservative riding in the Greater Ottawa area. And
then with Trudeau, what power does he have? Can he bring the military in to break up this protest? Does he just have police powers? What can he do, or what can't he do?
That's a very good question. It seems like it is rules by decree. I don't know. That guy does it's kind of scary. He does whatever he wants. It's insanity. Like I don't think the polls are on his side. I think from my understanding, upwards of 60% of Canadians want to end all this nonsense. But like you said today, he just invoked the Emergency Powers Act, whatever that consists of. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't watch the news. I just got home recently. So, but I don't get it. It's just what they're trying to do. They love this passport system. But it's frustrating for me and many other Canadians who just want our lives back. Let us carry on. I want to go see my family.
He can't use the military, right? He's not going to bring the military and roll tanks down the roads to clear the roads or anything, is he? Does he even have the power to do that?
I don't know. He said, I think this emergency Powers Act or War Act measures it. You have the ability to, you would think on a world stage where kids are jumping on a bouncy castle and guys are having a hockey game and start rolling tanks, and it's not a good look for anybody. I don't think he cares. I have no clue. Your guess is what he's doing. Maybe give the RCMP the ability to drag guys out of their trucks. He said something about being able, all the tow truck companies, I guess, were stood down. He said, we're not helping, we're not partaking in this. Now, from my understanding, they can seize them or somehow force these companies to tow the trucks away. I don't understand how all that happened.
So it sounds like you're kind of at an impasse. You're like a logjam, right? Someone's going to blink. And at least my impression from talking to you, it doesn't sound like the truckers are keen to get back to their jobs anytime soon. They're happy to muck things up for quite a while.
They seem to be. I'm sure they all would love to get back to their jobs and their daily lives and what they used to do 4 weeks ago before they were told to stop. But I don't doubt they got mortgages and kids back home as well. But they're just being treated really well, from my understanding.
I wonder what the risk. I mean, are there the companies that hire them? I imagine there's some large national companies. Are they at risk of losing their jobs? Are they unionized? I mean, how can you do that without? I mean, have the government? Because the government, I presume, might have some ability to force companies to make their workers, clear the streets or something.
The large majority of truck drivers downtown, at least, not necessarily overall, own their own trucks. They are their own business. Oh. They own their trucks. They are their only employee kind of thing, owner-operator. So they're paying their own insurance, and then they contract themselves out to random companies, whoever that may be. It's super common in the trucking industry to own your own truck. So I'm not saying they all are downtown, because I know a lot of these guys I talk to are just farmers from Saskatchewan and Manitoba who haul grain trailers around. But the long haul guys, I doubt there's too many company trucks downtown. They're probably all privately owned.
Right. Well, so you basically have a bunch of small business owners, essentially, right? And so people who can stay out as long as they can stay out, right? They can go, and I suppose if you have enough of them, they could go out for a couple of weeks and then go and then be replaced by other people who might find some other weeks to carry this thing on.
Oh, definitely. I've heard stories about more trucks coming and some guys leaving, but I've seen a handful of trucks here that have been there from the very beginning that I met in the convoy that the original Saturday there, the first Saturday there. I saw a bunch of them. They're still downtown now, so they're obviously doing all right.
I really appreciate you coming on and telling me this story. I'm fascinated that people feel this strongly about the vaccine. And I mean, my guess is most of those people who are there, I mean, most of those truckers are probably vaccinated, right?
From my understanding, a lot of them are. They are just fed up. Endless mandates. Yeah. It's like I said, it's not an anti-vaccine protest. It's an anti-mandate protest. The media is telling you the other side. They're all a bunch of crazy anti-vaxxers. That's most certainly not the case.
I guess the other thing, one controversy we're having here in the States is, of course, with kids in school. I mean, do they have mandates and restrictions of kids in school with masks and those sorts of things too?
Oh, yeah. Whatever you guys see in the States, it's substantially worse up here. All the kids, I won't let them put all the schools, I'm assuming in Canada, why they got to wear a mask. My children are pretty small, and I won't let them muzzle my children, but they're only 3. The oldest one is just over 3. So, but yeah, all the schools, it's nuts in my opinion. I can't imagine muzzling children. I think it's evil. They seem to like it.
I guess best of luck to everybody up there, and I hope everyone stays safe, and I guess that reach a resolution that everyone's happy with, which, well, I guess that's probably impossible. They're two separate sides. But is there anything else we didn't cover that you would like to mention about the Freedom Convoy or anything else?
Whoever's listening, I've seen with my own eyes. I've been there 3 weekends now, or 3 days so far, every day on the weekend, and there's been nothing but love, hugs from random people. I said free food for all. The homeless people are never been eating better in their lives. Like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. It is a party, yes. I don't doubt it's annoying for some people living downtown. They got saunas, they got hot tubs set up. It's a good time. Don't let the media tell you that someone's waving a Nazi flag or stupid stuff like that. It's not happening. It's just people who love each other, love this country, and we just want our lives back. I
just can't get over the visualization of saunas and hot tubs and hockey games. And It's
No,
that's I mean it's that's so Canada. It's so on point. I love it. Well, Warren Speyers from just outside of Ottawa, Canada. Thank you so much for joining the Paradox.
hey, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to The Paradox. If you like what the doc is doing, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And share the show with your friends. Become a supporting listener to get access to special bonuses at patreon.com/theparadox. Show notes can be found at theparadox.com.